Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. We love to dig in, and today's topic is a question that I think we've all asked ourselves at one point or another.
Mm-hmm.
How much money is enough? So, luckily, the listeners sent in some, awesome source material, this guide to, understanding money, and it gives us a good place to start, I think.
Yeah, it really does.
So,
It kind of reframes the way we think about money,
Right.
It's not just dollar signs. It's more like purchasing power, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's about the time and effort we put into actually earning it.
Totally. I was thinking about, those latte factor things. If I skip my daily $5 latte,
Yeah.
that's like an extra $150 a month.
It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it?
Right. I'm definitely thinking about that now, for sure. So.
Yeah, and it goes back to that, opportunity cost thing,
Right.
Every time we spend money, we're kind of choosing to forego something else.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
And the guide also mentions that, the value of money isn't static,
Oh.
Inflation and cost of living, they can really change what your money can actually buy.
Yeah, that's so true.
Imagine, right, you earn $50 an hour.
Okay.
And in one city, that buys you a nice dinner.
Oh, yeah.
But in another city, it might only cover your groceries.
Totally. I was just thinking of when I traveled to Southeast Asia a while back, and my dollar, it went so far.
Right.
I was like, whoa. It made me realize that enough is really relative.
Yeah, totally. And that's where, budgeting comes in.
Okay. The guide talks a lot about that.
Yeah. The source material is a huge advocate for tracking your income and expenses. And it's not just to see where your money goes, but to be able to make choices,
Yeah.
It's about empowerment, not restriction.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's I'm the one in control.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that. And the guide also mentions that you should set short-term A&D, long-term goals.
Absolutely. They give your money decisions purpose, let's say your short-term goal is paying off a credit card.
Okay.
But your long-term goal is investing in real estate.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. It helps you stay motivated and on track with your budget.
That's a great way to think about it. It's like a financial compass or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Pointing you towards your dreams.
Yeah.
And speaking of dreams, the source material talks about investments, which can feel kind of, honestly, a little intimidating to me. But I'm curious, what does the guide say about that?
Well, it encourages everybody to see investments as a way to grow wealth over time.
Okay.
And it really, breaks down these complex topics like compound interest.
Right.
It shows that even small, consistent investments, they can really grow,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they recommend reinvesting your earnings.
Okay. So, instead of spending your dividends, you put them back in?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That way you're accelerating the growth.
Interesting. It makes investing seem less, I don't know, less scary.
Right. Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
The key is starting small, learning as you go, and diversifying your investments.
Oh, what does that mean, diversify? I hear that a lot, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah. So that basically means spreading your investments across different types of assets, like stocks and bonds, real estate, even precious metals.
Mm-hmm.
It helps to mitigate risk.
Oh, so it's don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Create a safety net.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. It's all making a lot more sense now. But, I think we're kind of dancing around the big question that the listener sent in.
What's that?
How much is enough? What does that even mean?
You're right. We need to address that.
Yeah.
And luckily, the source material gives us a framework to do just that.
Okay, I'm listening.
So they break down enough into 3 levels: basic needs, comfort, and aspirations.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Simple, but effective. So, can you walk me through each level? What should our listener be thinking about when they're considering, their basic needs?
Well, basic needs are the essential costs of living, right? And those can change drastically depending on where you live.
Oh, for sure. I mean, rent in a small town is way different than rent in New York City.
Exactly. Housing costs are usually the biggest part of the basic needs puzzle.
Okay.
Then you've got things like food, transportation, healthcare, the things you need to to just live your life.
Right, right.
The guide encourages everyone to like really look at their spending, get a realistic idea of what those basic needs actually cost them.
Okay, so it's about being like aware of your own situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
What about the next level, comfort? How does the guide define that one?
So comfort is what comes after you've met those basic needs, right? It's about that feeling of financial security, peace of mind.
Right.
Things like an emergency fund.
Yeah.
Managing your debt, and even having some wiggle room in your budget for things you enjoy.
Oh, wiggle room. I like that.
Right.
It makes it sound less, I don't know, strict.
Yeah, exactly. It's about finding a balance. It might mean being debt-free.
Okay.
Or maybe having a certain amount in savings. It's very personal, Yeah. It's about your own sense of security.
Yeah, that makes sense. It takes the pressure off.
Exactly. It's not about keeping up with the Joneses. It's about creating a life that works for you.
I love that this is already making me rethink my own relationship with money. But before we dive into the final level, those aspirations, we should take a quick pause. And there's a lot to process.
Yeah, let's take a break and come back to that.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We were talking about those basic needs right before the break.
Yeah, and how, like, enough. It all starts with knowing how much it actually costs to live your life.
Right, but there's more than that, right?
Totally. We left off on comfort being that, like, next level of enough. Yeah. It's not just getting by, but, like, feeling secure, having a little room to breathe,
Yeah, and what's interesting is that the guide, it emphasizes that comfort. It's really personal.
Oh.
It's about aligning your money with your values. So for one person, that might be being totally debt-free.
Okay.
But for another person, it's about a big emergency fund, So if something unexpected happens, they're good.
That's totally me. Like, I sleep so much better at night knowing I have some savings.
Yeah.
It's like that safety net gives me the freedom to, like, do the things I want to do without stressing about every dollar.
Totally. And the guide even talks about how, like, money stress can seriously impact our well-being.
It's true, yeah.
So having a level of comfort with your finances can free you up mentally and emotionally.
Oh, that makes sense.
So you can focus on other important things.
It's like money can't buy happiness, but it can buy peace of mind, right?
Right.
And that peace of mind can open up possibilities.
Totally.
Okay, but the source material didn't just stop at comfort.
Right.
There's that third level, those aspirations.
Yes, and this is where it gets fun.
Okay, tell me more.
Aspirations are about those, like, big dreams. The things that give your life meaning, beyond just, like, being comfortable.
Okay.
So the guide, it encourages us to think about what we really want to experience and achieve.
Right.
And then we should think about how we can use our finances to actually make those things happen.
But I like that.
It's a good perspective shift.
Yeah.
Money isn't just something we need to survive. It's like fuel for our passions.
Absolutely. Totally. What kinds of things does the guide suggest we think about for aspirations?
Honestly, anything. It could be travel, seeing the world.
Yeah.
It could be creative hobbies, starting your own business, early retirement, even supporting a cause that you really care about.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, and they even say that aspirations don't have to cost money.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe it's about having more time to spend doing the things you love.
Yeah, yeah.
Or making a positive impact on the world.
I love that. That's a good point. So it's not just about, like, material things.
Exactly. It's about your whole life, aligning your finances with your goals.
Okay, but those big dreams can feel overwhelming sometimes, right? Like, where do you even begin?
Right, and the source material acknowledges that.
Okay.
They say you got to break down those big aspirations into smaller steps, make them actionable.
Can you give me an example?
Sure, like, let's say you want to travel the world.
Okay, yeah.
At first, that seems impossible, but you could start by saving for just one trip.
Okay.
To one specific place you want to go.
Right.
Or maybe you just put aside a little bit of money each month to build up a travel fund over time.
Oh, that makes it seem a lot less scary.
Right.
It's like building a roadmap to, like, a more fulfilling life,
Exactly. And they also emphasize that aspirations, they can change, right? As we change. What you value in your 20s might be totally different from what you want in your 40s or 60s.
Oh, that's so true, yeah.
The key is being adaptable and adjusting your plans.
That's a good point. It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly.
But I keep thinking about something the source material mentioned earlier about, like, the global perspective. How does that fit into the whole enough thing?
That's a big part of it. The guide reminds us that enough is relative.
Okay.
Not just between, like, individuals,
Right.
but also globally, what's considered enough in one country could be totally different in another.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because of things like cost of living, currency exchange rates, even access to different resources.
It's true. I remember reading this study about the price of a Big Mac around the world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
showed like drastically different prices for the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It really highlights those economic differences, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And the guide wants us to remember that
Okay.
when we're thinking about what enough means for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's about looking beyond our own little bubble and realizing that what we think is enough is shaped by where we live and our experiences.
That's such a good point. It's making me think about how lucky I am, you know, to even be having this conversation.
Yeah.
Like a reminder to be humble
Totally.
and really appreciate what I have.
I think that's a great takeaway.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? We've talked about basic needs, comfort and aspirations, even that global perspective.
Yeah.
What's a takeaway for our listeners? What's like the final wisdom from the source material?
Well, the guide, it really emphasizes that enough. It's not about some magic number in your bank account.
Okay.
It's about making choices that are in line with your values, you know?
Yeah.
Creating a life that feels good, that's meaningful.
That's powerful.
Right.
It's not just about the money. It's about your whole life.
Exactly. And the best part is enough can evolve,
Right, right.
As you grow and change.
Okay. I like that. What about you? What resonated with you the most from this deep dive? What will you be taking away?
Honestly, it's the focus on small actions, like those consistent little things you do.
Okay.
Like even if it's putting away a few dollars every week for a vacation or just tracking your spending.
Yeah.
Over time, it makes a difference.
It's like a journey of 1,000 miles begins with this single step, right?
Exactly.
And with our finances, those small steps, they can change everything.
Totally.
But you know what else I'm really feeling? This whole theme of empowerment.
Oh, yeah, I see that too.
The source material, it doesn't just tell us what to do. It helps us understand so we can take control.
Right. It's about going from like fear or scarcity to confidence and abundance.
Exactly. And speaking of tools, they even gave us a ton of resources for managing money, apps, and calculators and spreadsheets.
Yeah, you just got to find what works best for you.
Right.
The key is to just be proactive, try different things.
I am feeling so inspired. I can't wait to start putting all this into practice. This has been such an insightful deep dive.
Yeah, it really has.
I hope you're feeling inspired too, you know, to figure out what enough means for you.
And remember, there's no right answer. It's all about your own journey.
Yeah, beautifully said.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back soon with part 3 to wrap this all up. Okay, so we're back, ready to wrap up our deep dive into this whole how much money is enough thing.
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah. We started with understanding what money really is, then those 3 levels.
Yeah.
Basic needs, comfort, aspirations.
And we even talked about how enough can look different around the world, you know?
Right. Like what's considered enough in one country might be totally different somewhere else.
Exactly.
So many good insights. But before we finish up, I want to go back to something from the source material that I keep thinking about.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
That idea that being financially secure isn't just about how much money you have in the bank.
You're right. The guide really stresses that.
Yeah.
It's more about making sure your spending matches your values and, making a life that's rich and meaningful in every way, not just financially.
So it's not about chasing some imaginary number.
Yep.
It's more about creating a life that feels enough based on what's important to you.
Exactly. And the cool thing is that idea of enough can change as you change.
Oh, yeah, true.
Your values, your priorities, your dreams, they all might shift over time.
That's a good reminder. It takes the pressure off having to have it all figured out right now.
Right. It's more about being mindful,
Yeah, totally. So what about you? What really stuck with you from all this? What's the biggest takeaway you'll remember?
I think for me, it's those small, consistent actions.
Okay.
Like even setting aside a little bit each week or just really paying attention to where your money's going.
Yeah.
It all adds up over time.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Exactly.
Okay, but you know what else I'm feeling from all this?
What's that?
A sense of empowerment,
Oh, yeah.
The source material, it didn't just tell us what to do, it gave us the tools and knowledge to take control.
Right. It's about moving away from fear and scarcity and moving toward confidence, abundance.
Yes. And it even gave us like all those practical tips, those budgeting apps, calculators, even just using a spreadsheet.
Totally. There's so many options out there.
You just got to find what works for you.
Exactly.
This has been, honestly, such a great deep dive. I've learned so much.
Me too.
I hope everyone listening feels inspired to figure out what enough means for them.
Yeah, it's a personal journey. There's no right or wrong answer.
Beautifully said. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. There are so many resources out there, experts, even just talking to friends and family about money can be helpful.
Totally.
So we want to hear from you. What resonated with you from this deep dive? What questions do you still have about enough? Share your thoughts with us online. We love connecting and exploring these topics together.
And if you want to suggest a topic for a future deep dive, send it our way.
We're always up for a challenge. Until next time, happy diving, everyone.